Just a quick reply to Teresa, These Days God. She saw my last video and I think it took some of the things I said in there to be my current state of understanding. I was going through, my childhood and some of the things, entertained in my head that made me feel even more isolated than I was. I was pretty isolated, fourth born in the family, so I had three siblings ahead of me to pick on me and didn't do much for my self-esteem. Had an unusual name in an era where everybody was, had real plain names. So that made me kind of self-conscious as well. So I found it hard to fit in. But when I got into my middle ages more, it's kind of sad it took me that long to figure it out. I really started to realize that everybody was as messed up as I am. Most people are messed up worse than I am. We all put a good face on it, but we all have our own inner challenges and thoughts and misgivings, etc. So it took me a long time to really figure that out. As far as channeling goes, again, extraordinary claims really require extraordinary evidence. I do see that in Ra to a degree where I don't believe that this woman could have put that stuff out. When it comes to this Chiron and even Abraham, that's really not the case. Or Bashar. Bashar, some pretty enlightened stuff in there, but when the man, Paul Anka, I forget the guy's name. I was going to look it up before I talked about it. But when he talks by himself, without being Bashar, I really found it more of an intelligent, enlightening conversation than ever. I had a real good talk with him on, I don't know if it was Buddha or if it was with a French lady. Anyway, for him just speaking himself, he knows all that stuff and can deal with it quite well on his own. So I kind of wish he'd speak more as himself, unless it's Bashar. The Chiron, man, that was really strange. There is some good stuff in there, but there's also stuff in there that I would take issue with. Things he claimed happened that didn't really happen the way he says they happened. Things he says science says that have been disproved. Well, science didn't say that. Science has always said that we're in a long-term cooling cycle. It's just where this spike up in temperatures is nothing about long-term. Long-term is generational. It's not what's going to happen within our lifetime. So this general regression to an ice age thing is something that's going to take, multiple generations, long time. It's not like what's going on with this global warming thing, climate change thing, where we're seeing these really radical, fast changes in climate. And really, we don't notice it in our lifetime, but the disappearance of species, has been running at a rate that's, any of the great extinctions that we have in history, this is as fast as any of them happened. So it doesn't. The big worry, of course, with global warming is that we're going to hit a tipping point, and we'll start releasing all this methane ice. You can look up methane ice in Wikipedia. But if we reach a tipping point where all that stuff gets released in a rapid fashion, then we could be in for a lot of trouble. We can't really live without the oceans. If the oceans eutrophy, if the oceans die, we're not going to be in a good situation. I don't care how much you like the heat. It's not going to be good. So, and I know even some of the channelings have kind of blown it off, so it's kind of strange. To the 4 or 5 Chirons I have listened to, they're all quite different. That's kind of surprising. In tone, some are a lot more emotional than others. Some are a lot more lording over than others. The kind of there's an attitude in there I don't really like. The speaking to the little children, the kind of bragging. I don't know. In terms of being too much absolved with the mental, frankly, I think you go a little bit the opposite direction and eschew the mental a little bit more than is due. Yeah, I would tend to agree. You're not going to gain enlightenment through mental pursuits, in particular. I think that can clear the way through mental falsehoods. Get them out of the way by some sharp thinking. But yeah, sharp thinking isn't going to get you direct enlightenment, that's for sure. I wouldn't dispute that. But, an emotional uprising, maybe. I kind of wonder if that's truly enlightenment when people have a big, emotional epiphany. Enlightenment isn't really here. It's always here. It's a matter of realization. It's not a matter of emotion or thought or mental process. So yeah, but that doesn't mean you can just throw mental processes away. If you're don't keep a sharp mind, I don't see any profit in not keeping a sharp mind. It keeps you from being suckered away from false claims. That gets into a whole different area, though. You can be too skeptical and never believe anything. Some people make a life out of that. But sharp analysis, there's really no fault to it that I can see.